Hello, and today we have with us Kira Kellerman. And rarely do I get to talk to somebody who has been through a similar experience as me. And so I just wanted to share Kira's story with you. Kira, welcome.
Hi, Emily. Like Emily said, my name is Kira Kellerman, and I listened to doctors, and it didn't work out. Sorry, I get a little emotional, but
It makes sense because we
yeah,
had our lives taken away from us. We had our vitality taken away from us. And
yes,
people who don't experience that don't realize that you have no clue what it feels like when all of a sudden your body doesn't work.
yeah. And I felt like I lost an entire decade, maybe even longer. So in about December of 2008, I was told that I had multiple sclerosis. And I was supposed to just accept it, and there is no cure. They don't really know what causes it. They didn't have a lot of information or would ask questions like, how did this happen? You know, what am I supposed to do? There was nothing. There was no hope for me. And they just said, we're just going to get you on these interferon injections, and this is how we manage it. It was all about managing. I had RRMS, relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. So that apparently escalates into a worse kind and then worse kind. And then my path was supposed to be in a wheelchair. So um, I'm not in a wheelchair.
Hey,
And they're upset about that, I guess. But yeah, so I just kept getting worse with their medicines, and I didn't sleep, and stomach aches, and everything just kind of went downhill for me. I can't say that the medicine was helping. I know that it seemed like it was almost making me worse because of the sleep factor. Now I don't know exactly what they had you do, but for me, I got started on beta seron, which are injectables. You have to mix it up, and it's the smallest needle available. As if that's supposed to make it so much. Oh, yay! Wow, that's great. Oh, you got the big one. I got the little needle. Look at me. I'm living the life. So I did that, and I was just in so much pain. My tailbone hurt when I would lay down flat. I was getting to the point where I was just dizzy. And then the weight start coming on, and I was getting heavier and heavier. And I was I was a good girl. I listened to everything they said. I did the injections every other day. And then I kept telling my neurologist, I don't feel good. And, all I had to do was, walk the walk and then squeeze their hands for grip strength. And they hit my knee, and then, and then I follow the finger.
yep,
You're
been
doing
through
great.
many of
You're doing,
those.
you're doing great. Right. And I'm like, what kind of test is this? Can't you run some? Oh, MRI, you're doing great. You're doing great. And I'm like, wait a minute, but I don't feel good. Um, I don't feel good. How about the testimonial from the patient that they don't feel good? Isn't that important? I don't know. Apparently that doesn't matter. They were having great success with me as long as I did those injections. And then in about 2014, I just gave up. I'm gonna stop because I can't sleep. I would wake up in the night just to eat a little piece of bread because my stomach hurt. And I had already lost my gallbladder in 2012. So it's not gallbladder related. And I'm still not feeling good. And, the insert, it says you could have stomach problems. So, the pamphlet with the side effects and everything. So I just stopped. And then, so from 2014 to 2016, I didn't do anything. And I still wasn't doing well because I didn't do the other half. Was It was up to me, right?
Mm.
The research, fixing the rest of the body, because the body still took a beating from 2009 to 2014. And so I went ahead and just normal standard American diet, living my life. I was, eating everything, omnivore, bread, cheese, wine, everything. And I got overexerted in the summer of 2016, and my right eye stopped turning. So it was stuck pointing at the bridge of my nose. I got double vision and there was nothing I could do about it. And I'm like, oh no, this is exactly what they told me. I should have listened to them.
Ah,
So it was like, oh, they told me this would happen. They said it would get worse. And here it is. And I can't, I'm walking around with a pirate patch, like one of those, like after an eye surgery. And I'm like, oh, they were right. So I had to go back to them, and they gave me the 5-day infusions in the hospital. They were brutal, brutal. And then eventually my eye started turning again. So the double vision went away. And now I'm with another neurologist in Peoria, Illinois. And he's like, well, we got to get you back on injections. I'm going to switch you over, not from beta serin. We're going to try you on something else. And then eventually ended up on Rebif. And I did that for a while. And again, same story. Feel like horrible, hot garbage. And I have weakness. I'm dizzy. I'm not able to have any strength. I feel drunk at work when I'm walking around the hallways. I'm holding my laptop with a cup of coffee and I feel like I'm going to fall over. People, are like, oh my God, can't you just walk down a flight of stairs? And I'm like, kind of can't because I'm holding a laptop. And, it makes the balance horrible. So, I just kept getting sick too. In addition to all those symptoms, I have chronic respiratory issues. Every time somebody got sick, I was the first one to catch it. I felt like I was the canary in the coal mine. If there was a cold or something going around, I would catch it first. And I would end up with bronchitis every winter and pneumonia every summer. And I lived on prednisone. So, like, and I just kept going back to them because, they kept telling me, well, this is normal. This is your path. This is your life. This is what MS is about. Really? So, I I ended up feeling so horrible at the end of December 2018. I was like, you know what? I don't even care. Maybe I'll die. Good. Whatever. I was at that
I've been
point.
there.
I was at that breaking point where I'm like, good, die. This is no life. So I went and I went to the doctor a final time. They gave me the inhaler, the prednisone, the antibiotics. They said I had the same thing again in my lungs and I couldn't breathe. I had to shovel a driveway. This was December 16th, 2018. Oh, and I'm like, I can't keep food down. I coughed to the point of, vomiting because and there's nothing like, so what happened was after December 16th, 2018, I can barely keep food down. So I guess I started fasting. I didn't mean to. I just couldn't keep food down. And then after that I was like, I'm done. And I'm just gonna they're not doing anything. I decided to give up all processed foods. No rice, no bread, no coffee, nothing. I just gave everything up. And I probably, so from December 18th, I didn't have coffee until almost March of 19. That's how long it went because I couldn't have anything. I would just kept drinking tea, no dairy. And then I slowly, decided I'm just gonna go kind of like paleo, kind of clean, unprocessed. And then was reading about the keto and I kind of went into the keto by December of 2019. and I was doing a lot of walking. So some of the weight came off, but I was still not good. Like I still had spasticity in my legs, and I don't know if you had any of those symptoms, but I would be like, "Oh no, it's coming back. Oh no, what if I mean,
Yeah, it's like a
I'm not up,
PTSD every day. It's just like
right?
because your body remembers that torture and it's just like,
Right?
ah,
And like everything that happens, you're like, oh, is it coming back? Oh my God. And and so for me to go rogue at the end of December 2018, knowing that my eye stopped working at the end of, in the summer of 16, now I'm like, well, what are they gonna tell me? They'll say, you knew this was gonna happen. You knew and you did it again. I'm like, yep, I did it again. So I just kept going. And then keto eventually went into keto IF and then keto carnivore. Once I went into the carnivore space and kind of cut most of the things out, which included the seed oils, at that part, I'm like, I got this. So, and that's my 2020, right in time for the pandemic. I was ready. I was, like it's not often people get healthy right in time for a pandemic, but that was my story. So I did that, and then and at that point nobody gets to see me. I'm like working from home, and then people are like, wow, you lost a lot of weight. People didn't even notice I lost weight until I lost the first 70 pounds. And I kept telling people, I'm like, I wasn't sick because I was fat. You know that, right? I was fat because I was sick.
yeah.
Being fat is not a disease. It's a symptom that something is wrong in your body. And no doctors ever talk to me about that. They just, oh, you need antidepressants or anti-anxiety or anti whatever. We got a pill for everything, or we got something with a needle. We will. Oh, when you got a symptom, we got a thing for that too. A side effect, I should say, not a symptom. But if you have a side effect, we'll cover you there. And then the list keeps going downhill because the more you take of their stuff, the more problems you'll have. And I had a lot of problems from their medications. So um I would say I had still been taking some Advil even in 2019, but in 2020, after I just stopped all the other stuff and I just kind of primarily went to like meat, eggs, butter, cream, I no longer had any of those problems. So, I mean, I thought that was, I'm like, wow, at first I'm like, wait, I don't need vegetables. How is that possible? First of all, because I was told all my life by the doctors and their staff and everybody and in the world in general that you need vegetables. If you don't eat vegetables, you're not going to be healthy. And and all I wanted was to be healthy. I just wanted to sleep through the night. I wanted to walk around and not feel drunk, not be dizzy. I wanted to enjoy things, and I'm not eating vegetables. So I am I going against them again? Yes, I am. And it turned out that every time I ate certain things, I would break out an eczema right here. So that's when I knew it was actually kale and broccoli and salads and things like that. Um, so if you don't do that elimination, you won't know what works and doesn't work for you. But I know it's winter here in Illinois, and I do not have cracked knuckles. I
That's
used to have
amazing.
cracked knuckles every winter. I would have so many bandages. Sometimes I would wear gloves to work and I would pretend like, like, oh, I'm a mime because my hands were so bleeding and they had so many, like I would make jokes like, yeah, I just started training at the Benihana, school, where they're throwing the knife, cooking in front of you because it's embarrassing. My hands are cracked. I'm breaking out. I'm dizzy. I'm walking around. I'm like tripping up the stairs, falling, and now I don't have any of that. And so that's a win. There's other things that you don't think about until you're like, oh yeah, I did have that problem. I don't have that anymore. So um those are some wins.
What about your stomach now?
I don't have stomach aches. I don't have stomach aches at all. So I mean, maybe if I get hungry and somebody has some picanha or something on the grill, not it's usually meat on my grill, so it would be just like craving some meat. But yeah, I don't have any headaches. I don't have any vision problems. I don't have any tremors. I don't have um what's the other thing? I don't have spasticity. I
Mm,
don't have and I don't have brain fog. So the brain fog is probably
it was
one
bad.
of the yeah, it was bad. And I would tell people, I'm like, well, what do you expect? I'm 47, cognitive decline. It's gonna happen to all of us. My metabolism is slow. I can't do these things anymore. I have to write everything down. I can't remember things. But that was all baloney. It wasn't true. Now, what I know now about insulin and insulin resistance and how to make somebody sick and how the monster insulin resistance might be in the center and then it rears its ugly head into different things: cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, breast cancer, colorectal cancer, type 3 diabetes. And so if you look at that IR in the middle and then all the little things that could spawn off of it, my little spawn off was autoimmune and uh depression, anxiety, you know, GERD. That's how come I lost my gallbladder. But they told me to eat every 2 hours. So my pancreas never got a break. I was just getting that insulin up all the time. And it's like, that is horrible advice. I would never tell anybody eat every 2 hours. Why would you need that? Eat till you're satiated and then stop eating. Then don't eat. You eat and then you don't eat. Then you can sleep through the night. Then you don't have to go to bed hungry or wake up hungry. You just live, you could do other things, and you can't really do other things if you have pain all the time. So I don't take anything for pain, but they were okay leaving me eating 6 Advil a day. And they didn't give me anything for pain because they were worried that I would become addicted to pain medication. So I'm like, I'm so happy you're worried about that, not the fact that I'm in pain. So, and now I realize that nobody ever asked how I was doing.
Mm.
That's never been but how do you feel? How do you sleep? No one asked that ever. They never cared about that. It was just about they do another MRI, and if the lesions aren't active, they think it's success, and they go from there. So my last MRI was January 11th, 2022, and it was me trying to prove to my new young neurologist that I do not have multiple sclerosis. I tried to get it off my record. I'm like, I don't have it anymore. I went in December to see him. I'm like, yeah, I don't have it anymore. And he goes, there's no cure. And I said,
Uh,
okay, I understand that. That's what you say, but look at me. I'm doing jiu-jitsu now. I mean, I may not be very good at it. I mean, I'm a white belt, but the point is I was supposed to be in a wheelchair by age 50. I'm going to be 52 in August. How is this possible? Well, the only way that we could really do it is if you get an MRI. So I'm like, okay. He goes, it's going to cost you. I'm like, of course, everything. It's always at my cost. This whole health journey has been at my cost, right? So I did the MRI, and of course it comes back saying no active lesions, but there's still some scar tissue. Pituitary gland looks normal. There's nothing, no significant findings, that sort of thing. And so I went back to see him for the results. Joke. Um, and we're sitting there, And he goes, see, you still have MS. And I'm like, how? And he goes, well, see, there's the scar tissues. And I go, okay, let's talk data, statistics, the law of large numbers. You are only giving these kind of MRIs to a small percentage of the population. What if you gave everyone in the world an MRI? Just like like everyone has to do this. You just have to. Every single human, MRI you, even if it's without contrast. Don't you think you would find people that might have
That's
these sort of things from football injuries, from a car crash, from, being in a war, from falling down the stairs? Couldn't there be some sort of injuries to the brain and spine not caused by what you're looking at a very small percentage of the population, and you're assuming that if you have this pattern, this is what MS is, because there's no actual test for MS. It's like a, process of elimination. You don't have cancer, AIDS, this or that. You don't have all these other things. So, oh, there must be that. And you have this pattern, the Dawson's fingers. So there you go. But what other things could cause that? There could be other things. We just don't MRI the entire world. So he stopped and he looked at me and goes, I understand what you're saying. I'm like, good, because I don't have MS. And he still wouldn't take it off my record. So we have this kind of contentious thing. He's like, I'm glad you're doing well. And then he says to me, oh, one more thing. I think you should take ALA. I'm like, oh, I know. That's alpha lipoic acid is always a good thing to take. That's the only thing we can agree on, doctor. That is a great supplement to take post-viral infection. Anyone who came down with a virus, they should take alpha lipoic acid. So I agree, and that's the only thing we agree on. So anyway, and that was the last time I saw him, and
yeah.
probably will. So I reach out to other people now, and when they tell me that their cousin came down with a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis, or they need help with this or that, and I'm like, you can do this a little bit at a time. You don't have to even stop all the meds immediately. I'm just saying, look at what your diet is, because you know they told me that my mom probably had MS too. She passed away in 87, but I don't think it's genetic, and I don't think it's familial. I think the excuses of all these dietary illnesses are not genetic at all. I think families eat the same food. And if we eat the same way, we're going to have the same illnesses, right? Like, oh, yeah, everybody in my family, oh, yeah, it's just genetic. We all have diabetes. What? But you all sit around, eat the same food, and you guys all sit around. So, how is that not ever looked at? And it's just bizarre to me, because the things that they always call chronic and progressive, those are the most loved diseases by the medical industry, because those are the big money makers. There's no cure, there's no, right, exactly. And what if there is? Then what? And then I started watching podcasts with Dr. Fung, and he's like curing diabetes in like 21 days, and I'm like, well, maybe that would work for MS people too, because maybe it's something causing inflammation in the body that's preventing the body from functioning properly. And if we just get out of the body's way, it'll start performing the way it was designed. So, and it kind of seems like I'm on this path that is correct hypothesis, because other people that I run into, like yourself, you know, it works. So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sell, right? Emily, what can I say? Don't eat junk. that's your prescription for health, does that do people want to hear that? Do they want to hear that they, you know, and I when I talk to these people, they're so weak. I never push exercise on them. I never
No,
say it's not about eat less, move more, ever, ever, ever. It's
no.
not about that. It's about cutting out the things that are causing inflammation. And that's a much different message than eat every 2 hours and lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. And I'm like, I'm not gaining weight because I'm just sitting around and eating all day. There's something wrong here. I I don't even know if it feels like I'm swollen, right? And they didn't help me at all. So and I got no compliments or like good girl, out of boy
I
kind of thing.
know. I was
No,
like going to my neurologist like, "Oh my gosh, they're going to be so excited."
yeah, no, not at all.
No.
Not at all. They were
Don't
like,
even want to they don't even want to make eye contact with me.
no. And and I was telling somebody when you go there, the tests are absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's like there's a board with little pegs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the finger, and then you pull the pegs out and they time you, and then you have to put them back in as fast as you can. And I'm like, what does that tell you? Why don't you see how long I can do a dead hang or you know actual strength? Like I don't want to break his hand or anything, but endurance, something where my heart rate is really up, sitting there and then squeezing somebody's hand. That's not really strength, right? I don't think so. So they don't actually. I don't know.
And then they would like run the pin on my feet and be like, "Do you feel this? Do you feel this? Do you feel
Mhm.
this?" And I'm just like, "What are you doing? Like, what
Yeah,
are you doing?"
they do something at the bottom of the foot, like they would like scrape it. And I'm like, and that does, you know, I'm like, well, bring out the leeches. I don't know what they're doing, honestly. I'm like, this is ridiculous, but this is neurology. This is this is what, and these are specialists.
Mm-hmm.
These people don't know anything about nutrition. They don't, I mean, when I asked him about the pituitary at the last, at the results, and he's like looking at me like, why am I asking that? And I'm like, well, that's the master gland. Aren't you aren't you interested? You never talked to me about other things. I mean, don't you want to see about, other things for longevity? They can keep you alive for a long time, Emily. They don't care about the health span, lifespan thing. They just care about lifespan. They're going to keep you alive so that you would be a customer for life. And they never care about the quality of life. So I had to cut them off. Sorry.
Yeah,
I can't do
I
business with you anymore.
exactly. I told my neurologist, I said, it's your job to monitor my MS. I'm going to treat it. And he
Right.
just looked at me like I had three heads. And he was really mean. He told me, he was like, "You're being reckless with your health. You're going to be in a wheelchair in 10 years." I was like, "Okay, thanks for speaking curses over me. Like,
Yeah.
good grief." Like,
It's almost like they wish that on you. They wish it
yeah,
on you.
yeah.
And I don't know if you get those magazines still. Do you ever get those magazines? No, I
No,
get them. All of them are so depressing. Like
very,
there's so many ads in there for wheelchairs or little scooters or canes or things that you would need for your assisted whatever life. And it's like, and these little things that you can pack on vacation when you go places and this and that. And I'm like, that's what the magazine is about. How is that a hopeful message? I never had any hope. And now I'm
none.
trying to give hope to people. And the people that hate me the most, the MS community.
Oh, hate. Yeah. I can't
I
I
mean,
can't be in those groups because
no,
they're
no,
just like, they're like, "Stop spreading this information." And I'm like, "That I healed?
yeah,
Okay."
yeah. This one person said, you didn't. you didn't cure yourself. Meat didn't heal you. And I'm like, meat did heal me. Lots of
Yep.
meat.
And I know if I went back, like if I went and ate a bag of Doritos and a batch of cookies and a pie and a pizza and a box of wine right now, my symptoms would come back.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if mine would come back, but I don't want to risk it. Why would I?
no,
I won't trade feeling good for, you know, it doesn't even tempt me at all. It's not even the thing that crosses my mind. I just like, I would never like, I eat pizza, the cheese and the meat, and then I don't eat the crust. I can have, I don't, I'm starting to think like, do I have a cheat meal? What is a cheat? Okay, I did have some Brussels sprouts last December and nothing happened. But
I
that's not gonna be a
know.
daily, okay? Let's not get carried away. It was Christmas. My son came home from the military. I made, a smoked prime rib and I served it with that. I'm not gonna risk eating, I'm not gonna eat Brussels sprouts every day. It was maybe just a fluke that, maybe I didn't break out, but it could also be that I've earned metabolic flexibility to handle certain things. I don't know, but I'm not going to make it a daily food. I'm never going back to the way I ate. I'm never eating standard American diet. I don't eat bagels. I don't eat yogurt or cereal. I don't drink milk. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do any of that. And I don't miss any of it ever. I have my own chickens. I eat their eggs. They're my pets. I don't care to ever, it does make kind of a lonely life. They're like, oh wait, you don't want to go for happy hours. I'm like, oh, I brought Pellegrino water, or I'll order club soda. I'm good. Um, and I do drink coffee still. So that is my carnivore-ish. That's the ish part because I am still a coffee drinker and it doesn't impact me negatively. I do have to add a quarter teaspoon of Redmond's real salt to my coffee because coffee does deplete a lot of the minerals and I need to that trifecta, the sodium, potassium, magnesium. I cannot have my coffee drain my body of the sodium and all the other minerals. So I have to add the sodium back in. I also take inositol powder in my coffee so that keeps me calm. It's I learned later for people with PCOS, inositol is also good. So I've never had PCOS, but I've in this journey, I've healed my hormones. I wish they taught young girls how to take care of their hormones because a lot of them are put on birth control to handle the acne, which is terrible. I mean,
And they're eating French fries.
right. And they're eating in the school lunches, even the hospital food. Horrible, horrible food choices. Just terrible. And they could have clear skin. I know there's a lot of people, including athletes, that tell me I eat clean. I'm like,
Really?
I can see it on your face. You look like you're broken, like you have measles or something. You can't eat clean with a face like that. Something is making you break out. You either have some endocrine disrupting whatever in your house. Maybe you're sleeping on sheets that are still in some perfumed up softener of whatever. There is no way that you are doing you're completely acneed up. So, the skin doesn't lie. And I have pretty good skin now. I mean, I do have bruises from time to time, but that's not related to my diet. That's related to my sport, hobby, whatever you call it. But yeah, people don't want to hear it. And I just want to tell them there is hope. You can reverse autoimmune conditions, but if you let it go too long, it could go into something really bad because, like I said, that insulin resistance, one of those ugly heads could be cancer. And, it's a little bit harder to come back from that when it metastasizes and it gets through your body and ravishes organs, very important organs, the liver and things like that. So let's not get to that point. We have time. And just because you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s and you think, oh, I'm too old, maybe you're in your 60s. That's not old. You still have time. So you can build strength and you work on cleaning up your food and just go from there. Baby steps. I'm not saying go full everything on day one. That's hard to do. I didn't even do it. Like I told you, I went paleo, keto to carnivore, and now I'm carnivore-ish. I'm saying you can do baby steps, but even to this day, I will not eat chicken and pork. I will not eat them because those animals are hard for me to find as organic and they were not fed GMO corn and soy. So where my animals ate is important to me as well. So that's why I feel good when I eat bison, beef, lamb, salmon. I feel good. I can find sources of that pretty easily and I don't have to break the bank. The cow is an amazing animal.
Yes.
It can it can turn grass, and something about the way it eats, it turns the fat is a good has a really good profile of fat. Some of the other animals can't do that. The chickens, um, well, they kind of inflate them to get the best price to fatten them up and everything. So I don't eat a lot of chicken. I stay away from that.
I don't feel good on it.
Right? There's something about it. It's hard to find. I don't know if you've tried to actually purchase online pasture raised chicken. It's very expensive
Yeah.
and it's not easy to find and it just I don't feel it's worth it. Honestly, like why bother? I just don't feel it's worth it. So
Well, and I'm still hungry after I eat chicken. I'm always still hungry. And so I'm like, okay, I'm used to this food freedom where I'm satiated with the animal meat and the animal fat, the beef and the beef fat. And
yeah,
so I don't want to have to think about food. I love being lazy and just eating what I've got
yeah.
once a day.
And I see you have very good skin. You have a clear complexion. I can tell that you eat clean. I don't know about other people when they tell me that they have migraines. That's another side effect that maybe something is not right. You're not supposed to have migraines. People tell me, well, more women have migraines. It's just a woman thing. Women have horrible periods, and I don't. Uh, and they have migraines, and this is just the way it is as you age. No, it's not. These are all lies, and it's not the way you have heard it to be. So there is another way. You haven't found it. But they're in that scared part. They're not ready to make that change. So I always say, it's okay. You're not as sick as I was. Come back when you're sicker. I mean,
I said
I don't
that
know.
too.
I don't know what to tell them. You you have the luxury of not being sick enough. I was at my breaking point at the end of 2018. I had no other choice. I had to save me. So I did it and I don't regret it at all. And who knew that not eating vegetables wouldn't kill me? It would actually make me better. So
Well,
that's
and here's my argument too, is that I'm all about quality of life. So even if MS is going to get me in 10 years, I had a really good 10 years instead
right.
of 10 years of me like crippled and popping, ibuprofen. And uh, I mean, I was so sick. I was so sick. And then injecting myself every other day, like, no, thank you. Like,
Right.
no, thank you. So even if it's just a short run or 10-year run,
Yeah.
whatever, I'm taking it because this is 10 times better than what they had to offer me.
Yeah. And like you said, would you rather have 10 good years or 25 horrible years?
No, thank you.
Right? I would say no. I would rather have the good. And, in this journey, I've done a lot of study. I, I, I read books, I do podcasts where I listen, listen. I take notes as I listen to people's podcasts. So I don't watch TV. I canceled my cable. And I don't want people to reach out to me thinking I'm just going to impart on them in 5 minutes everything I've learned in 4 years. Now, and you might have been at this a lot longer than I have. So I'm kind of a noob still. I think 4 years is nothing, right? Um, but I can't impart to you the importance of not eating seed oils, canola oil, and all these other things, and not being afraid of cholesterol. I can't impart that in like 5 minutes or while we're casually, passing each other at a grocery store. And I can't do it. You're gonna have to trust me and just wonder, why did Kira say that? Why did she tell me not to? She told me to look it up. Yeah, go look it up. Go research it. But don't be afraid of cholesterol. And my cholesterol, I got an NMR. I was insulin sensitive. I scored a total 457 total cholesterol, and they freaked out. Well, it turned out I did an 18-hour fast before I went. So I had my triglycerides, they're transporting everything from the liver. So of course I didn't know that because I wasn't an expert in cholesterol. I'm still not an expert in cholesterol, but as I study what other people put out there, Dave Feldman has a lot of information out there. Then I'm like, and then there's other people as well that are sharing like what could have happened during that fasting period. Now I know if I take a test, I should never fast more than 12 hours before taking a cholesterol test. It would have been nice to know that, but either way, I laughed at them. I would never take statins ever because again, the risk doesn't outweigh. There's no benefit for me to go, to a 2% chance of not having something, but it's too dangerous and I don't need it. And I
And talk
think
about brain fog. People on statins have severe brain fog.
exactly. And why would I want to lower LDL? Um, LDL is the firefighter that comes in to take care of inflammation or some. Maybe at the time I had something else going on. We need LDL to be higher to take care of that. I mean, the brain is mostly, fat and cholesterol, so we needed that.
Well, and
That's
we
what we
needed that for our deteriorated myelin. We
right.
needed that fat to rebuild that myelin and support it.
Yeah, and I don't know if you ever had the spinal fluid done to you.
The
Um,
lumbar puncture.
man, yeah,
Yeah, I had that.
brutal, brutal. And
Yeah.
it was CT guided, but that didn't matter because he bumped the needle. That is so unpleasant. I would say if you don't have to go there, don't. And just, if you look at the history of our food, we didn't have any of these problems 100 years ago, and you have to wonder why. And why are the kids so depressed? Why are they having mental health issues? Why are they, I know a lot of people who are bipolar now, and they have PTSD from just life as a teenager, and it's horrible. And I know that the foods they're eating are making their life worse.
Yep.
But, I'm not their parents. I'm like, this is going to get worse until it's an actual disease that will cause you to, you know, be triaged with some major event will happen, like with me and my headaches or my eye stopping or something. And these are minor. Like I could have had a thing where I stopped walking or
I
there are
stopped
people.
swallowing. I couldn't
Oh,
swallow water. My
that's
throat just,
horrible.
it's like my brain just told my throat to stop, just stop swallowing.
That's horrible.
It was
I
terrifying. I was like, what is
what
this?
happened? Yeah, what happened? What happened? So, you know, don't wait till it gets that bad. But people are like, oh, the eye twitch. Have you ever had that little?
Yeah.
A lot of people have an eye twitch, but for me, they kept telling me, oh, that's the MS. And I'm like, but so and so has it too. Do they have MS? That means everybody is having the same thing because we're all eating the same way, right? I
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't and they always tell me, you're not a doctor, Kira. I'm not. But I do a lot of research and I do a lot of labs. I do request my own blood work, and I think it's good to not just blindly just, well, look at me, I lost some weight. I'm doing better. I don't have pain. Well, that's not good enough because I don't know what's going on in the inside. So I do test for HSCRP, homocysteine, cortisol, A1C, fasting insulin. I just scored a 2.7 and I went back to the doctor. I'm like, hey, what is 2.7? And also, this is the other problem. They don't know how to interpret labs.
Yeah, that's why they don't order them because they don't know how to interpret them.
So in the little app for my health insurance, when you get the results, there's like a little sliding bar and it's yellow and then green and then red. So if you're below normal, green, you're normal. And all they do is they look if the number is in the green zone and they'll be like, you're normal. I know. That's what the thing says. It says I'm in the normal. That doesn't mean anything because you have to do the ratios. You have to see everything, everything. So I just posted today about BMI and how much I hate BMI. So BMI, the body mass index,
Yeah.
is a made up number by pharmaceutical companies that were to help you being the doctor, not overdose your patient. It was just to determine like how high a dosage should patient X who weighs 250 pounds and is 6'3" or whatever. So it was for dosage of medication. And so I'm like, that's not really a determining factor for health. If you want to know how healthy you are, you have to take your wrist circumference, your hip to waist ratio, other things that I posted about that. I'm like, that's what you need to do. The BMI, basically, there's bodybuilders who have very little fat on their body and they have a terrible BMI.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How is that possible? They're completely shredded. They look like Adonis, but because they have so much muscle, they weigh heavier, and like Joe Rogan, for example, he has a terrible BMI. He's not a very tall man, but he's
Mm-hmm.
muscular, so
Mm-hmm.
you can't go by that. I always like to do that as a kind of a generic uh term that makes no sense today, and the doctors won't even talk to me about it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you asking me about my BMI? And it's on my checkout sheet when I leave the office. BMI.
Yeah. It's
What does that
ridiculous.
mean?
It's
Silly.
ridiculous.
Silly. So Emily, are you helping a lot of MS people even though the community hates us?
Actually, I help more mentally ill people because I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder as well and resolved that. So you don't get over bipolar and you don't get over MS.
Wow.
But
And you did
I
it
found that,
too.
yeah, but I found that MS patients are really hard to work with.
Yeah.
Um, and they have to wait until they get to the point where they're just that miserable enough. And they believe the doctors. They believe so much in the doctors and in the injectable medication that they don't even, it's like they have this cognitive distance where they just can't hear what I'm saying. And so I don't reach out to them. I just wait until they're ready to reach out to me. But I have had at least five, probably more people that have sent me messages and said, all I did was listen to your video, hear your story. I implemented what you said, and my symptoms went away. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yes. Like, so
Yeah.
there have been people who it's changed their life just to hear my story. So I encourage you to keep telling your story
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
amazing.
I've had a few friends that they also amazingly came down with MS, and they just kind of started, maybe cleaning up the diet. And they said I lost 60 pounds and I feel better. And it's like, did you ever have MS? Or was it just is it just metabolic dysfunction, some sort of dysbiosis? Your gut microbiome was off, and then it causes weird things to happen. So, but yeah, the mental health is a big thing in this country, and you know, we don't address it except for, again, a lot of medication, a lot of
A
medication.
lot. Yeah.
And my heart goes out to all those people that think that there is no path to reversal and health again. Once you're labeled as having a mental health issue, whether it's, um, and I don't even know if bulimia and all of those fall under mental health,
Yes, they
but
do.
it's almost like body dysmorphia where you think you're fat when you're not, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe there are some things that, like, fasting would not work for those people because it's triggering about not eating, and then it's like a food thing. But other things were, soldiers coming back, traumatized from the war and stuff like that, still a diet can keep you calm. And I I do feel that eating clean can help a lot of people with any kind of stress in their lives. So, and we've had a fun 3 years, haven't we, in this world? So, um, yeah, it's the best you can do is just take care of your own health, share what you know, and then see if other people have the same results. But it does seem repeatable, doesn't it, Emily? Like it's the pattern exists that other people would have the same results. So it's not just this fluke thing with just Kira, just
No.
Emily. It's pretty amazing that more people don't
Well, and
men-
even people without any illnesses feel better whenever they stop eating sugar, processed food, and seed oils. It's a
right.
huge difference. So, I mean, if we feel better, then why not try this?
But
But
why do the doctors never say anything about, they actually wanted me to eat canola because they wanted my LDL to be lower. That's all they care about. That's success to them.
it's
So
crazy. Well, thank you for your story. I have so enjoyed following you on Instagram and on Facebook. And I love your posts, watching you do the jiu-jitsu and stuff. Because I'm just like, yes, like it is not this death sentence if you take your health into your own hands. So
yeah, yep.
um, I'm so proud of you, because
Thank
I know the warrior that you are to stand against what the medical, yes, what the medical model is telling us to do.
yeah.
And to say, nope, I'm not going to inject myself, or
Nope. No more. No moss.
I'm not going to be in a wheelchair.
Nope.
But so thank you so much. And if I will put your link in the show notes,
Yeah. Yeah.
if people want to reach out to you on Instagram or
That's fine.
Facebook.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And I really enjoyed sharing my story with you.
No problem. I'll talk to you later.